Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Rain. Okay, so in my previous video I was telling you guys the story of how I got started invested in real estate. So this is part 2. All right, so I was telling you guys a story about how when I was getting my first property through the NHD, what the process was like, and how it was a tedious process, but it was very good. Like I said, I did not let the long process deter me from getting it done. So yes, that was my first goal. After my initial investment rather, I decided the process wasn't that bad, so it's something I would do again. In fact, I believe I became somewhat addicted to just looking for real estate and just being interested in what's going on in the real estate space. So I began just searching and searching. I think I took it up as a hobby. I was just looking online every now and then, or for the most part rather. I would just search. I would just go online and I would just type in house for sale in this area, house for sale in that. I would visit NHT to see private treaty, just what was going on in the space. And then I think I saw a property and I sent it to someone, and then the person ended up purchasing the property. By purchasing the property, the person ended up becoming a part of a group. By being a part of that group now, whenever there's properties available, I think she had asked them to add me to the group, so I became a member of the group. It's like a real estate website, but they have a WhatsApp group, and they add persons to it. So whenever they have new listings, then they would post them in it. So they posted that they were going to have an auction. So again, I live overseas, so I would not be able to participate in the auction by myself. So I had a family member went and did the auction on my behalf. I was successful. So that's when my second mortgage came into play. During the second mortgage process, it was a total different process from the NHD mortgage. It was very different. There was a lot of things that was required for the second process. Case in point, like overseas credit report. Doing NHD didn't ask for credit report. Being an overseas person, I think I was assessed as a self-employed individual. So they did not ask me for any overseas credit report. I don't think they pulled my local credit report either. And I don't remember. I think I sent pay stub and job letter, but I don't remember if that was even used, because I think I would have given those documents at the onset when I registered to make my contributions. All in all, I did the process. I won the bid. I paid my 10%. So when you go through the bidding process, the deposit is usually 10%, and that 10% has to be paid the very day. So I paid the 10%, and then I proceeded to do the mortgage. I think prior to the auction, I had gotten a pre-approval or pre-qualification letter rather. So the pre-qualification letter was taken to the auction. It wasn't needed, but I had it at the time. Well, the person had it at the time. So fast forward, did the process. I'm going to do a different video outlining the steps to get a mortgage, the exact steps for NHD and the steps when you're going through the banks. But yes, I did all of that, and I mean, it took a while. Again, it was like a private treaty, so the process was a bit longer, and it worked out. Listen, The process can be very frustrating at times, but it's all worth it in the end. I mean, you're gonna feel frustrated. Sometimes it's gonna take long. Sometimes, especially for private treaty. Private treaty is when you're buying a property where someone has defaulted on the payments, which means the property is usually occupied. So you'd have to, after you have taken possession of the property, now it would have been on you and your attorney to serve that person notice to leave the premises. Sometimes persons can be compliant, sometimes they can be very difficult. But all in all, I would say I would still do another private treaty. Moving right along, after doing that second property, I think I got that second property. After I got the second property, like I said, it became a hobby to me. So I'm always online. I'm always looking around, not necessarily setting out to say, hey, I am looking for a property to buy, but I'm always curious as to what's out there in the market. So because I'm curious as to what's out there in the market, I think I was going through my email once, and then going through the email, I saw an email from a bank saying that this bank usually finance development. So because they finance developments, they would send their customers whatever projects they finance that are for sale. So I saw it and I reached out to them. Long story short, they got back to me with the name of the real estate company that was dealing with it, and I went ahead and made checks with them just to see if they had available units and stuff like that. Once they did, I put in the application, paid my deposit, and again I was back to doing the process again for a second time with the mortgage. Did the second mortgage. The process was basically the same, and because it was done in a short space of time, certain documents I didn't have to resubmit because they would have already been on the system. Stuff like tax returns and stuff would have been the same year, so they would have had those. So I'd have to basically send like a updated job letter, pay stubs, updated credit report. But I think all in all, everything else probably would have been there already. Yes, so that is my investment journey. I mean, I chose to invest in Jamaica because I feel like I understand the Jamaican market. Based on what I see, real estate in Jamaica, even if it doesn't appreciate, at least it holds constant value. So I've never seen someone buy a property for say $10 million today, and in 5 years it's worth 8. It's usually worth either 12. You might say $12 million is not an increase, it's actually just keeping up with inflation, but at least you're not losing money. I've never heard of the Jamaican mortgage. There's a crash in the market for in the real estate market in Jamaica, where property values are just dipping and all of that. I've never heard that. So for me, it was a no-brainer for me to choose to invest in Jamaica. The other thing is, when you live overseas, I think this is my personal opinion, this is really like a life hack / house hacking. You're better if you have plans to own property in our own real estate in Jamaica. You're better off buying properties in Jamaica before you buy a property in the US, only because when you're doing a mortgage in Jamaica, they'll ask you for your overseas credit report. Now, if you already have a mortgage here, depending on how much you're making, it's probably going to be very difficult to secure a mortgage in Jamaica, even though you might not be buying that property for personal use. It might be for investment, like long-term rental, short-term rental, Airbnb, whatever you choose. So more than likely, a property has the potential to pay for itself. Now, on the flip side, when you're ready to buy a property in the US will never ask you for a credit report from Jamaica. It doesn't even exist. I mean, when you take a loan in Jamaica, it doesn't come up on your credit report. So that is a little secret. If you do have intention to invest in Jamaica, I would suggest you do it first. only if it depending on the price point, because you can still buy a property in the US and still go and buy a property in Jamaica, but it all depends on the price point. For someone who lives in New York, and you know property value in New York is extremely high, it might be a lot more difficult versus someone who lives in Florida. It might work out in their favor where it doesn't really matter. But all in all, my personal opinion is that, you know, it makes more sense to do so. So that's my reason for investing in real estate in Jamaica. I believe the Jamaican real estate market is really booming. There are several developments popping up all over. And I mean, each and every time the developments pop up, they're being sold out. They're being sold out like that. And I mean, if you can remember when Caribbean Estate came out, I don't remember the year, but I think Caribbean Estate came out probably around 2008 or something like that. I believe the houses were like 8.59 million, somewhere in that price range. Try to go to Caribbean Estate today. Caribbean Estate today is in the 20s, low 20s, and most of those houses, there is no addition, there's nothing done to those houses, but over time the value of the property and the demand, you know, the typical demand and supply and demand, persons are just picking up these properties, and because of that, the property values remain high constantly. So for me, it's like getting in early. My first two properties that I bought, they're actually in the same development in different phases. And when I bought the first one, when I bought the second one less than a year later, months later, I had to pay almost $3 million, if not $3 million more, for roughly the same property in the same development. That goes to show that real estate in Jamaica is really just going up. It's not going anywhere, and that's one of my reasons for investing. I mean, Jamaica is home. It is home. I'm Jamaican, and it is very important for me to own properties and own real estate back home. So I hope my journey as inspired or would inspire someone to start their own investment journey. I mean, I am not done. This is just the beginning. Like I said, the real estate, most developments, as soon as you see them come about, before you know it, they're gone. I mean, the Airbnb space is really booming in Jamaica. So for me, that's the space I would actually like to be in. So I'm working towards that. So I mean, I see myself in the next year, 2, 3, or 5 years owning way more property. As much as I can get my hands on, I will try to own. So I'd implore anybody watching this video not to be discouraged by your circumstances. And sometimes you gotta go out and get the information. You can't just listen to persons who might have tried and gotten the misinformation and now sharing those misinformation with you, rather than going to the source and trying to ensure that you get the information. And sometimes you might not be in a position at the moment, but if you get the information, you would know what is it you need. What is it you need to do to be in a position to take advantage of what's going on in the Jamaican space? I've seen persons leave from Europe, all over the world, coming to Jamaica, owning properties, putting these properties on Airbnb and making a killing. Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't us doing this, making a living, making money from things that are in our backyard? I mean, I think it's just a no-brainer. So that's basically my real estate journey. Again, remember to like, subscribe, share. If you have any questions, you can leave the questions in the comment. I'll definitely answer your questions, or if it requires a video, I'll definitely do videos and answering your questions. Like I said, I'll do another video speaking exactly about the process itself, like step by step. What is it you need to do in order to secure a mortgage, rather. I'm also going to do a video about how to find properties, because I realize that is the most common question that I get. Persons wanting to know just how you go about finding these properties because they can't seem to find them like what's my strategy, how I go about doing it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and remember, please like, subscribe, share my videos, and see you next time. Also, follow me at 876_real estate. That's my Instagram page where I post all the upcoming developments. So you guys, if you want to stay tuned, if you're looking to buy a property, if you just want to keep abreast with what's going on, you can feel free to follow my Instagram page. As soon as I know about an upcoming development, I post it. So if you're looking to buy, you can always check out my page to see what's new.